You did what was right for the patient. First, do no harm. You literally are the breathing, living embodiment of that. And people will recognize that. If not now, tomorrow, I promise you. You're going to have a beautiful legacy. And hopefully you will get this case dismissed. Diamonds are made under pressure. You're a diamond. Just keep being you. You hold your head up high and tall. You be proud. And it doesn't matter what shit they throw at you. Even if they slap that 35-year sentence, you just be yourself. You take it like a man. You be proud and you just smile. And life is going to take care of you. It's going to be fine. I promise you. You do not let the bastards get... And in your defiance, that's how you will never be defeated.
You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So, if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at drmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Here we are, 1 week on, and how different the world is, my friend.
Oh my gosh, dude. I absolutely collapsed on the ground when my attorney called me yesterday morning at 8:30. It just the tension, the release was the most tension relief that I've ever had in my entire life. It was amazing.
I bet. But listen, I just want to say congratulations. I'm super happy for you. I don't know if you remember much of our conversation from last week. Do you remember much?
Oh, well, I just remember talking about my case and talking about, what my risks were and what was going on. And, but other than that, the particulars of it, yes, they escape me right now.
It's all blurred. It's all blurred, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It was quite emotional, is what I'm trying to say. It was, what you're going through was not easy. And I'm going to remind you, dude, it's incredible. 1 week on, look at this.
Well, the emotions are completely...
Let's play this. Go down in history as one of the greatest doctors ever. A real hero. I'm being serious. I'm not talking about these fake garbage doctors, media doctors, all of it. Me, self-promotion. You really stood by your oath. You did what was right for the patient. First, do no harm. You literally, are the breathing, living embodiment of that. And people will recognize that. If not now, tomorrow, I promise you. You're going to have a beautiful legacy. And hopefully you will this case dismissed. Boom. Dude. Wow.
Look at you, Mr. Prophetic Ahmed Malik. Dr. Ahmed Malik, the professorial, oh my gosh, dude. I do remember that now. I'll have to go back and listen to that. But I do remember getting very emotional when you were saying that. Again, I've said this since the beginning, Ahmed. I've never done this for me. I've never done it even just for my family. I've never done it for just my patients. I've done it because it's the right thing to do, right? I mean, you have people coming to you, you're an orthopedic surgeon, foot and ankle guy, but your neighbors, your friends, your family, they got a sore throat. They've got a cut on their leg. They ask you those things, right? So you are a medical doctor first, and you are a specialist second. And that they were throwing around these terms. What's a plastic surgeon doing taking care of COVID patients? What's a plastic surgeon doing vaccines? I'm there to take care of my patients and to take care of patients. And when there's a need or a desire, that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to step up. If we have, when I was in the military, if we had if we're going to war over something, I'm not going to be a plastic surgeon in the military. I'm going to be taking care of people that come in with shrapnel wounds, with, severed appendages, whatever. I'm going to be taking care of pilots that are sick, that need to get back in the air and learn how to fly.
I mean, dude, you might also have to do emergency Botox injections and facelifts. I mean, it's the middle of the war. People need to look good.
They do, right? They do. They still have those camera appearances, right?
Dude, I get it.
It's crazy.
Look, listen, I'm going to get into some nitty gritty though. I want to get into some nitty gritty. Okay. Listen, now that this has been dismissed, I'm over the moon.
My first travel is to England. I'm just telling you, I'm coming there to give you a hug, buddy. Okay.
Well, I can't wait for that. But listen, I'm gonna ask you some tough questions now, because look, I don't shy away from tough questions. You know that.
I know.
Why did they dismiss this? Right. Part of me's thinking, is it possible that the evidence you were going to provide and the case, looking into the mRNAs, the mandates, the coercion, would have shone a lot on shone a light on the mRNA jabs, which they didn't want? It would make it uncomfortable, and potentially it would have unraveled the whole mRNA jabs are safe and effective. Is that a possible way of looking at it? Like, were you going to talk about bad batches and all that kind of stuff, or did it have nothing to do with that?
Very good question. I've had a lot of people ask me that. I've actually had a colleague of mine here in the United States, Jim, who called me and talked to me about that yesterday. He thinks that, the little bit that he heard about what was happening in the trial had kind of opened up the door for us to do that. There was a point in time where the judge kind of pulled us all aside, dismissed the jury, and kind of said, hey, look, this is what we don't want to do. And because his ruling for the justification or necessity defense and everything else was purposely done to prevent that. And in opening arguments, and then in a couple of their early witnesses that the prosecution had, it had opened that door a little bit. And so there was a long discussion about, how far open was that door, and whether it was kicked wide open, and whether we were going to be able to discuss that. And I think the judge and the prosecution and my attorneys came to an understanding about what we were going to be able to talk about. So I think that I don't say the door was closed, but they didn't really put any more limitations on what it was that we could say, but the prosecution had opened the door for what it was that they were accusing me of. And the judge wanted to make sure that that type of information was not going to get out.
Okay. So hold on 1 second. Why did the judge not want to discuss the mRNA jabs?
Because they were going to lose. There's no way that they were going to win if we were going to discuss jabs. Because then all the efficacy, all of the data, all the information, all the stuff that you see Peter McCullough talking about, all the data, all the science, all the stuff that Jim Thorpe talks about, all of the, premature stillbirths and miscarriage rates and neurologic injuries from it. I was going to bring in Breanne Dressen, who lives right here, 20 minutes from me, who is one of the more outspoken, vaccine injured people in the world, who, is co-founder of the react19.org website. And so all that information is going to come in, and they knew that they weren't going to win on that. There was no way.
Kirk, this is relevant because look, on the face of it, you carried out fraud, and fraud is wrong. You shouldn't do fraud. But if you do fraud because you're trying to save people from getting a death shot and being killed and maimed, and you do what you do, now you're suddenly a hero. It changes everything. This wasn't some kind of like tax avoidance fraud. This is you trying to save people. If people, wanted to round up Jews in the Second World War, and someone went against the Nazi rules and laws and hit them and that was breaking the law. I mean, later on, they're looked at as a hero. They broke the law, right, but they were doing something wonderful. Yeah, I'm just giving a kind of like crazy example. But so while you might have broken the law by taking part in fraud, when you look at the reason for it, it was the right thing. You're stopping people from getting these horrible, toxic jabs, not properly researched, unsafe, often coerced and mandated to, had to keep their jobs to do it. So it's kind of relevant. It's kind of crazy that the judge would say you're not allowed to talk about this.
Well, it is relevant. But the problem is, in a sense, not the problem that we were facing was that that's exactly what they didn't want to do, because they knew that fraud vitiates fraud. So when you have a fraudulent program, which is what this was, that you can't accuse somebody else of defrauding fraud. Okay. I mean, that's essentially what it came down to. So they had a fraudulent, they had a fraudulent program, and they lied to us from day one. This did not exist. It was not, I know you've had some experts on, and I know you've had people on both sides of this about whether this is a virus or whether it's not, whether they even exist or not. And without getting into that, my point being is they lied to us. Did it come from, did it come from the lab? Did it not? Is it really, is it really as dangerous as what it was? Is it not? All of those things.
Are there alternative treatments? Are there, remember, there's no alternative treatments. It's killing people. Right. It's people are dying left, right, and center. The fear porn, the red graphs, the spikes. Oh my God, the waves, Right. It's all a lie. Right. It's all a lie.
All of it is. And it's still a lie. They're still trying to come out with, I don't know, what's this thing called, the H1.1.4, whatever it is that they're saying is this really deadly version. I mean, it's just the same.
Yeah, that virus that came out of someone's ass, basically. They just literally pulled out from their ass and said, this is a deadly variant. No, you just pulled it out your ass. I saw you do it. You liar. Anyway, carry on.
No, I mean, and so if they allowed that, they knew they were going to lose. And so, in a sense, their tactics were the right tactics for their case. And they managed to get the judge to bite on it and say, hey, look, I guess to some degree I signed up to do this. I brought the vaccines in. If I were a pediatrician and already had vaccines and I had just signed up to do this and everything else, maybe a different story. Because I'm just kind of continuing. But they made a big deal about, hey, what's a plastic surgeon doing, vaccines anyway, right? And I was doing it. I signed up to do it. And I signed up for the reason to protect people. That's it. There was no ulterior motive. I wasn't trying to take money from anybody. I wasn't taking any money from anybody. The whole thing that they were trying to accuse me of with I was making money and doing whatever is that I was trying to charge people $50 for a shot. No, all right. I had people, I was doing this for who knows how long. And then people coming to me saying, hey, how can we help? And I said, well, I'll tell you what, this is the way you can help. Donate to this organization that's trying to help pass laws in the state of Utah here to keep this from happening again. That's what it was.
Well, I'm really glad you've clarified this, because someone commented again on my Substack today and said, oh, this is complete nonsense. He defrauded. He's done something illegal. He's convinced all the Trump supporters to, go against Pam Bondi. But he's a criminal. He made money out of this. He was, blah, blah, blah. But you didn't charge people and you didn't make money from this, did you?
No, there was absolutely not. And you know what? I could have charged people. I could have billed their insurance for the administration fee, and I didn't do that. Okay. So that was legal. All of the other doctors, they couldn't charge for the vaccine, but they could charge an administration fee. And the insurance company in the United States was paying anywhere from $40 to $50, okay, for people to, to bill their insurance to get it done. And they were getting paid to do that. The other thing is too, Ahmad, which is key in this. Okay. There was no law. There were no laws. I didn't violate any laws. I violated a mandate coming from an agency in the United States, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Okay. They were mandating this to happen. They are not a regulatory agency. They are an advisory agency only. So there were no laws. Laws in the United States have to be passed by the legislative branch, have to go through the House, have to go through the Senate. They get passed by both houses. They go to the president and he signs it. That's a law. There are no laws. And that's crucial. They were trying to shoehorn what they felt was, my violation into a fraud violation. Who did I defraud? My patients are no victims. The government is trying to say that they were defrauded on something that they didn't even own by the time it got to my office. Okay. And I use this analogy. I don't know if I used it on your show before, but it's kind of like I buy a light bulb from General Electric and Amazon ships it to me and it gets delivered. And then I decide, hey, I don't like this box of light bulbs that I got. And I take them into my backyard and I use them for target practice for my BB gun. Okay. Now, what the analogy is, now GE is coming after me for misusing their product that I paid for, even though I didn't pay for it, even though they gave it to me or whatever the scenario is. They're trying to say that they still own that product that was sitting in my garage or sitting in my house. And that's what the government was saying, is they paid for a product to come from a third-party organization, which was the pharmaceutical companies that, oh, by the way, they developed and they paid for in the first place, okay? And that came up in our trial. So they paid for it on both ends, okay? And then they're trying to say, hey, you misused that product that we delivered to you, but you actually don't own it. So that was our...
No, I get that. That's a great example. And you're right. This was a bioweapon funded with taxpayers' money in Chapel Hill and by DARPA, by BARPA, whatever the companies are in.
The head of BARDA actually testified for
BARDA.
them.
Really?
The head of BARDA testified for them, but they couldn't present the contracts because the DOD would prevent them from presenting those contracts because they did not want that out in the open. The fraud, if you wanted to see fraud, you could look at it in those contracts. Okay. So I wasn't allowed to see them either.
So listen, truth requires censorship for it to be hidden, okay, and concealed, right? Because truth in the open flourishes and grows.
Yep.
Lies, for them to flourish, right, need propaganda and the censorship of truth.
Right. And shutting down the opposition. Yep.
Because, and just think about it, if this thing is so wonderful, this vaccine, this bioweapon is so wonderful and so amazing, they'd be boasting about everything. They'd be showing all the paper trail, the contracts, everything. Look how we did everything legitimately. Look how we did everything by the book. You wouldn't hide the information for 75 years, like the Pfizer papers. You wouldn't hide the contract. You wouldn't redact everything.
You'd have people standing in line wanting to get it, right? If it's that good, people are going to be banging down your door wanting to pay you money for it, not trying to get it for free or for a Happy Meal from McDonald's or an ice cream cone, whatever. I mean, that's the truth.
So we funded it. The taxpayers' money went to fund the research and to make it. And then the government paid again with our taxpayers' money to buy the vials and everything. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, of course they won up, and there's no indemnity problem because they're indemnified. And when have you ever heard of a product that's so amazing that it needs to be indemnified to be sold? Because you know what? Yeah, like if the product is amazing, it'll sell for itself. Like the car doesn't break down, it's wonderful. But the airplane keeps falling out the sky, but you keep making it because guess what? It's indemnified. You can't sue the airplane or aircraft manufacturer. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. Okay, right. I've got 2 more questions and we're going to wrap up. I know your time is precious. Actually, I've got 3 questions. But anyway, why did they drop it then? What happened? What do you think?
Well, look, this whole week, I don't know how closely you were able to follow it from across the pond, but on Monday there was a rally. I did a podcast with Ed Zoll and Matt Scow for the producers of that movie Died Suddenly.
I love Matt Scow. I spoke to him before he came to see you, and I told him to give you a hug from me. I hope he did. I love that guy. I love that guy.
And anyway, so Ed came out here and spent the whole week here. He got so involved in it, he actually missed his flight on Friday because he was supposed to leave at 12:30, and he was just so kind of involved and couldn't leave and everything else. He actually showed up at the airport, and missed his flight. So then he comes back and we had dinner. But so with the rally on Monday, with the article that he wrote and everybody reposting it and, the social media firestorm that happened from it. And then the other rally on Friday that we did, which was huge. We had hundreds of people at this rally on the steps. I think the public pressure that was being exerted on the Department of Justice. Look, there's all kinds of people, all the people on the ground here that helped us. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, Mike Lee, all of the, the senators and representatives, United States senators and representatives. Why is Marjorie Taylor Greene, kind of from Georgia speaking out? Why is Thomas Massey, I think he's from either Kentucky or Tennessee, speaking out? Mike Lee, obviously, because he's here in the state of Utah. But I think that, the just the uproar and the public, the public pressure that was being put on Pam Bondi to do this. We submitted a package to the weaponization work group, which was her kind of like the implementation arm of Donald Trump's executive order that he did the first day that he was in office, to kind of reverse all of the lawfare and all of the persecution that Biden administration, DOJ, was doing. This fell perfectly within those parameters, and they chose to not do anything about it. And that article that Ed Zoll wrote and published on Wednesday, I'm sure you've seen it, just got, hundreds of thousands, millions of views. And I just think that, that along with the pressure from Congress and our congressional members and everything else made a difference, and that's what turned it around. Look,
amazing.
I don't think there's ever been. I don't know this, so I will not. I'll caveat this. I don't think there's ever been a federal case, ever in the history of our country, that in the middle of the prosecution's case, they stand up and walk away and dismiss it. They hadn't rested their case. They still had a day or two of witnesses that they were going to present. And then on a Saturday morning, I get a phone call after Friday afternoon and everything else. I mean, that's unheard of. My lawyers were just dumbfounded at how this happened.
All right. Okay. Who's starring in your movie as Kirk Moore? Is it going to be me? I mean, come on. I mean, we've got a similar haircut.
You have to trim a little bit of. You have to trim a little bit of the beard. You got to make it more of a goatee. Okay.
But I'm a
you
little
got
bit
enough
better.
gray in there.
I'm better looking than you. You
are.
I mean, I can be your actor. I can play you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's do it, man. Let's make it happen. Let's find an executive producer out there and let's make it happen.
Oh, there's quite a lot. There's Andrew Traglia. There's that Matt Skull. I mean, there's so many people. But I mean, this is a movie. I mean, what you've been through, what you've done. I mean, yeah. I'm just thinking of a title for a movie. Dr. Kirk Moore's List. Like Schindler's List. Dr. Kirk Moore's List.
Dangerous, and ineffective is my movie. Okay.
There you go.
Dangerous and ineffective. The other one that I've always put out there, which is actually the title of my Substack, which I haven't contributed to in a while, but is The Price of Ethics.
Yes.
So, anyway, those are the two things that I would put out there. But I'm sure there's other people out there that have a better, have some other ideas. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Help me with that. Let's do it.
I think you also need to get a book out. So get a book out. Make sure you publish it yourself. And then you need to do this. All right, next question. I saw this comment on X, which I thought was actually quite interesting. They said, this isn't much of a win. When someone beats you half to death and you're on the floor, and then they notice that people are watching you, and then that person, then the attacker walks away, but you're still half dead on the floor. That's not really much of a win. And I think what they meant was they've dragged you through the cold for 2 years. You wasted $750,000. Untold stress on your private life and everything. I mean, they really beat the shit out of you. I mean, it's a win for sure, but is there any way you can get any compensation or get your money back? I mean, another thing I read someone saying was, I hope the lawyers are going to refund him some of his money because they don't need to do all this work anymore. I mean, can you comment on that?
Well, the legal work's already been done. I had 4 or 5 days left in my trial, so I'm not going to get a refund from my attorneys. Actually, I still owe them money, just because the work going into it. But me being down, they didn't see that courtroom. Okay. They didn't see what was going on. They didn't, they're in our opinion. And I actually talked to a few people that were going to testify for the prosecution, tomorrow and Tuesday. And, they weren't there, but the reports that they were getting, through their, through the people that were in the courtroom, because I know some of the people that were in there that were friends of the people that were going to have to testify against me. They were wondering where this thing was going, because they were like, no, they haven't proved their case. I'll tell you one other thing. One of the guys that was going to present against, or that was going to be testifying against me, one of the sticks that they held over his head was he has a green card. He was going to work. He works here in the United States and has been here for years. And he was going to testify against me, he and his wife, over the money that was done to this, to this nonprofit organization. But they said that, if you get charged, just a charge alone means that you will get deported. And so they were holding that over these. I mean, that's the level of evil that was going on here. This guy here is the head of an organization that he had no business doing. He's a foreign citizen running an organization to change the laws here in the United States to increase and get better medical freedom in the state of Utah. And they were going to deport him if he wasn't going to sign on to testify against me. He had no evidence that was going to help them. Okay. Bottom line, there was nothing. Okay. But they used that against him and his wife.
They're blackmailing him. Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Listen, I'm not surprised. Listen, I don't believe in justice and the justice system. I don't believe in the justice system. Of course I believe in justice. I don't believe in the justice system. I think they're all a bunch of crooks. They're all basically protecting the government. It's pretty much always goes their way. I also don't trust the police either. This protect and serve, that's a Barnum statement. They're protecting and serving the government. And the government is legalized criminality, basically. There's no difference. I do not believe, right? I do not believe in the government. They're all crooks. And but for some reason, justice was served when your case was dismissed. I think God was looking after you. I swear to God.
No doubt.
And also a strength of your character. You've held sway. I'm sure they came to you and said, plead guilty and you get a reduced sentence and everything. And you've said, no, I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep fighting. And you've taken them all the way to the end. And, they chickened out, you're running straight at them. And at the last minute, they went, nope, it's too much. We can't deal with this. So well done. A couple of things a few people have mentioned to me is that they're not going to let this go. These people don't like losing. And they're going to come after you another way. And some people even said, you need to get out of Dodge. Like, you need to leave the country or whatever. Have you thought about this? Do you think it's safe to stay where you are?
Do you have a room in your basement?
We don't have a basement. No, but seriously, have you thought about stuff like this?
Yeah, I don't know if you and I have had this conversation. I've heard some of your talks with some of your other guests. I've listened and watched some of your, messages that you've put on X. I'm really disillusioned with the state of medicine in general.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be people like you and me standing up to do this. And we should have been a bulwark against this. The medical community should have said, this doesn't make sense. What are we doing to our patients? It should have been a mutiny on the side of science. I mean, Fauci says, well, I am science. No, he's not. And the doctors know that. And you don't have to be that smart to figure this out. Okay. We should have been a wall between us and our patients. Okay. And that didn't happen. And so I don't know. Look, I have some friends of mine that have also fought the government, beat them on certain things. And then they came after on, just like they did with Jimmy Hoffa, right? They got him on tax evasion. And so they find other ways, like, hey, knocking elbows with somebody else. Hey, what do you think about this guy? Didn't he do something wrong here? Didn't he file his taxes the wrong way? Did he not declare this? Or maybe he's speeding in his car or, whatever the scenario is, and just kind of like throw the book at him in those ways. You know what? I haven't done anything wrong. I took care of my patients. If they want to come after me for those kinds of things, I got to be honest with you. Where am I going to go? The whole world is a total, excuse my French, clusterfuck. Okay. And where am I going to go? I still think the United States is in the worst, is the worst of the bad heap. In that regard.
Worst. It's the least worst.
The least worst, yeah. So that's what we vote for, right? It's the lesser of two evils that they select for us to vote on. So yeah, I don't know.
I also think there's no point running, because if you run, that you're not fighting for your country. Like, right. You're letting them win. Like, the whole point is to stay put and fight. You know, we need to fight these bastards. And I 100% agree with you. But listen, this is the reason why I handed back my medical license. I was like, you know what? The medical licensing board couldn't do anything to me. They took the complaint and they looked at it and they didn't do anything, but they weren't nice about it. And then the hospital suspended me and kicked me out. And then the other hospital suspended me. And I just thought, I don't want to fight in the system and try and stay in there, because it's like, imagine you're driving down the freeway and you're just minding your business. You're sticking to 50 kilometers an hour, less speed limit or whatever it is, you know, and suddenly there's like not just one cop car, not two, not three, 5 cop cars all the way around you. And all eyes are on you. Like right. There's a car speeding past 100 kilometers an hour. They don't give a shit. You know, those are the guys who are vaccinating, right? There's another car driving and, you know, he's shooting at another car. There's gang warfare going on, right? The police totally ignore that. Those are your banksters and the criminal, you know, cabal, right? And then all these other crazy people on the freeway, they're not looking at them. But you Kirk Moore, you go 51 kilometers an hour, one kilometer above the speed limit. You get pulled over. You're like, what have I done, officer? You're speeding. You're like, what? You get back in the car, and then they're all around you again. They're watching. After a while, it gets a bit stressful. Like, you've not even done anything wrong, but you're like, do you know what? Here's the keys. I'm going to walk. Like, it ain't worth it. That's how I felt with my medical license. I was just like, just take the fucking keys. I'm walking now. You know what? The gang rapists, you know, all the drug traffickers, the child traffickers, the pedophiles, all of them, you are ignoring. Right. You're doing nothing about them. I have done nothing wrong, and you're pulling me up. Surely you must feel like that as well. Like, surely you must be like, you know what? It's time for me to hand in my license. Like, are you not worried that you carry on practicing and then they come for you? Oh, we've had a complaint. Over here in the UK, right. they have plants. They have fake patients who then complain, and then the licensing board goes for you. Believe it or not, they do that here in this country. I know we're a bit communist further ahead.
But look, I'm sure they do that all over the world. So yes, am I kind of worried about it? Yeah, it's there. It's in the back of my mind. I get it. And you know, and so at what point do you, just like you said, just kind of, you know, move on?
Dude, get a chaperone. Any female patient, you need a chaperone. You cannot be left alone.
I do that. I mean, I'm always there, so I never go into a room with a female.
I'm just saying, I'm just reading the headlines. Dr. Kirk Moore, anti-vaxxers, case dismissed, now guilty of sexual assault.
Well, hey, Tucker Carlson, I saw him on a thing where he said he doesn't even have a computer in his house because he doesn't want people to plant pornography on it and then raid his home and find child porn on his computer. So he said he doesn't even have a computer in his house. So,
wow.
Right?
Wow, that's next level. There you go. Right. See, I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, the fact, hopefully we're talking about it, they won't do it, because when it happens, we'll be like, yeah, we knew you guys were going to do it. You evil sons of... I mean, because look, come on, Kirk, let's not put it past these guys. They're evil as frack, right? They're just not good people. You know, they don't have integrity in them. They've got no moral code. They have no ethics. They're on Team Satan, Team Lucifer. You know, we're on Team God's side. You know, we have to play by the rules. We fight clean. They fight dirty. That's just the nature of it. Hey, my lovely listeners. Just a quick shout out. As many of you know, I now offer a one-to-one online consultation service. And no, it's not just for people contemplating surgery. It's for any of you. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're struggling in life, maybe you're going through a painful divorce or facing a major health decision, or if it's the fact that you've just left a rushed doctor's appointment with a head full of unanswered questions, book in with me. I can help you make sense of your diagnosis, explain mainstream treatment options in plain English, and also walk you through alternative and integrative approaches. If surgery is on the table, I can guide you through preparation, how to reduce post-op risks and complications, and what questions to ask your surgeon before going ahead. So maybe you're just looking for a second opinion, or you want to figure out whether to see a GP, a homeopath, an osteopath, a chiropractor, a physical therapist, or even which supplements or lifestyle tweaks to make. Well, I think I can help you, buddy. Tap into the knowledge I've gained from 25 years as a mainstream doctor, and the last 2 years interviewing over 400 experts from all walks of life. And don't just take my word for it. Here are just a couple of real reviews left by real people who have worked with me. Jessica. Having a consultation with Doc Malik has made me feel empowered to take control of my health condition and proceed in a manner that is in line with my beliefs. He helped me make sense of my condition, gave me a clearer picture of the medication I've been prescribed, and provided direction on a number of lifestyle and diet changes I can make. Highly recommend. And then there's Diana Austin from yesterday. These days, it's hard to know who is real and who is genuine. So many are imposters with no other agenda than draining your wallet. Doc Malik is the real deal. He is knowledgeable and caring and suggested actionable strategies for me to pursue. I'd give him 6 stars if I could. Thanks, Diana. So there you go. If something inside of you is nudging you to book a session with me, trust your gut instinct. I always tell everyone I meet, trust your gut instinct. It never lies to you. You lie to yourself. So you can read more of the reviews at docmalik.setmore.com, and you can make a booking there as well. So that's docmalik, DOCMALIK, .setmore, SETMORE.com, COM. So there's 2 dots there. docmalik.setmore.com. Folks, love you loads. Let's get back to the show. Bye. So we need to be vigilant.
Oh, no doubt. You gotta, and look, I'm not going to go through life looking over my shoulder every time, but you do. You have to just kind of be aware of your surroundings, be aware of what's going on, and just kind of read the tea leaves and try to, and just try to adapt and adjust. Look, my kids know that. My son, I'm sure you saw it. He had 2 speeches at those rallies that completely went viral. I guess he was on a podcast last night, or he was on an X Space last night until 3:30 in the morning talking about my case. I had no idea he was even on X. He just told me this morning. So he told me what his Twitter name was. It's like Tyranny Speaks or something like that. Or
love it.
I have to. I got to find him. So, but
listen, I think you should write a book, get your movie rights. I'm playing you, and you should start podcasts, and you should speak up even more. I know this court case saps your energy, drains you. You just get flat, dude. Now you need to ride the wave, right? You need to get out there, loud and proud, and be a true health advocate. I mean, I don't need to tell you what to do. You do whatever you think, but just be happy, live your life, and just enjoy. This is an epic win, like you said, unprecedented, sending shockwaves. Well done, mate.
Hey, and it's all because of people like you helping me get the word out and making sure that, I wasn't just, they were trying to just, kind of railroad me without anybody knowing about it. And, podcasts, people like you talking about it, people like you mentioning it to your friends and people that like you said, you're getting messages about me. And the reason is because you have me on your show. You talk about me. And all of the people that have been there, all the local people here that showed up at all these rallies, people that sent me messages, people that, voicemail messages on my office machine, send me text messages, people that donated to our campaign, everything else, or not campaign, but to our legal defense fund. Absolutely. So it's not a one, there's no way I could have done this by myself. And it's thank you for everybody that's out there. And thank the Lord. It's, could not have been done without divine intervention of some sort. So
absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Well, my final thing I would say to that, and then I'll let you go and celebrate again. You need to celebrate for the next year. I don't know how long we've been in touch. It feels like about 2 years. Am I right? Has it been about 2 years now?
2 years. I think we met middle of summer of 2023. Yeah.
That was when my podcast just kicked off. You're one of my earliest guests. Thank you for that. And, you were relatively unknown, and I suddenly found out about you. I don't know where it was, a Twitter space or something like that. X-Space. Yeah. That's it. And I reached out to you, and since then we've had so many conversations. And one thing I can say is, you are very genuine, and you are a very good human being, and you've been consistent. You do not lie. I can tell when someone's lying. You've been consistent. You've been truthful. you have integrity, you have honor, you try to do the right thing for your patients. And I think the world can see that. I think that's the reason why you've had all this support. Like you're not some controlled opposition. You're not some person just seeking the limelight. You were just trying to do the right thing. And now, thankfully, it seems like the world has found out about you. And I think it's wonderful. And, you know, like I said, in that exactly a week ago, it'll be fine. Remember, I told you everything's going to be fine.
Well, you said it right there. Your case will be dismissed. You said it. I mean, you just proved it. You should take that short little clip and then post it and say, hey, look how good I am.
Well, it's not about that. But what I would say is now the next prediction I'm going to make is this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. And you're going to go from strength to strength. And you're going to find purpose, vigor, renewed health. And we need people like you in the trenches fighting the enemy. Like there's not many of us, you know, there's a lot of people silently watching and wish they could jump in and fight, but they think they've got too much to lose. There's a lot of people on the enemy side, but there's not many in the trenches where I am. And, you know, we need all the help we can get. So don't disappear.
I'm there with you. I've been there with you from the beginning. I will continue to be there. They did use the word enemy, talking about me and us, the people that were pushing back against the CDC. So it's a war, and we've got to win. So we're out to win just like they are, and we're going to give it our best shot.
Amen. And God bless you. Now you go and have a nice time. I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts, and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations, and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence, and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm, or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.